Dave's Computer Corner. Today, we'll be taking a look at the SATA standard. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Anyway, enjoy the video. SATA, which stands for Serial AT Attachment, is an interface meant to connect the computer to storage devices. It was announced in 2000, and the first hard drive that used SATA was released in 2003, Seagate's SATA V. The SATA standard was originally designed to solve many of the problems faced with PATA, which stands for Parallel AT Attachment. The SATA standard actually came with two cables and connectors, SATA Power and SATA Data. The smaller one is SATA Data, which, as you might have guessed, transfers data from the hard drive to the CPU, and the larger one is SATA Power, which powers SATA devices. Now, just how much better than PATA was SATA? Well, let's create a list of a few of PATA's problems. PATA's cable was too big and too fragile. Transfer speeds were too slow, and you couldn't hot swap PATA devices. Let's start with the cable. PATA used a cable called IDE that had 40 or sometimes 80 conductors, with the cable being several inches wide and very thin. The nature of the cable made it obnoxious and somewhat difficult to work with, as well as very fragile, with it being very easy to accidentally break a conductor and brick the entire cable. Now, let's compare it to a SATA cable. By comparison, a SATA cable looks to be about as thin as an IDE cable, but significantly less wide and is made with a stronger cable sheathing. Moving on, PATA wasn't capable of hot swapping. For those who are out of the loop, hot swapping refers to a device's ability to be connected and disconnected from other devices while in operation. While PATA wasn't hot swappable, SATA was. This meant that you could open up your computer and unplug a hard drive, plug it back in, and theoretically it should continue to work like nothing happened. Now, the third and final major problem faced with PATA was slow transfer speeds. As the new millennium came to pass, PATA had reached a transfer speed of 133 megabytes per second, and engineers realized that PATA was just too slow and no more optimizations could be done to make it any faster. And so, SATA came along with its higher speeds. But you may be asking me, Dave, why is SATA so much faster than PATA? And to answer your question, it wasn't. Not really. Due to the encoding technologies used in SATA 1.0, the transfer rate hovered around 120 megabytes per second, with boosts of up to 150 megabytes per second. Don't worry though, in 2004 SATA 2.0 was released, which had a transfer speed of 300 megabytes per second, and in 2009 SATA 3.0 released with a speed of 600 megabytes per second. But anyway, how does SATA go so much faster than PATA? Let's rewind a bit to the start of the video. There, I said that SATA stood for Serial AT Attachment and PATA Parallel AT Attachment. They aren't called this for no reason. Serial and parallel are the methods in which these cables transfer data. For this section, I'm going to refer to this very helpful visual aid. In parallel transfers, every bit of information is sent at once, making the bits parallel to each other. There are 7 transmitters and 7 receivers in the parallel configuration, meaning it can send 7 bits at once. This is why an IDE cable was so long. It needed those 40 conductors, so it could send all the data it needed to at once. Serial, on the other hand, only has 1 transmitter and 1 receiver. In serial connections, data is sent one at a time, one after the other. By removing the need to send all of the data at once, transfer speeds could be increased. Making it faster would be less difficult, as it's easier to make only a few superfast cables instead of 40. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Dave's Computer Corner. I hope you enjoyed it and came out with a little better understanding of SATA.